The vampire or Dracula is the product of an ancient myths and legends. Look at this word vampire or empire. Dracula means the son of a drac. A drac or a dracos or drago is the name of a species of reptilian from the constellation also called Dracos, which is in the shape of a dragon and the letter zeta in Greek. The vampire is found in folklore worldwide and in most countries. The word vampire is of the Magyar origin, a principal ethnic group of Hungary, and appears in cognate forms in the Slavic languages. Its origin may possibly be from the Turkish word uber, which. The motion picture industry continues to update and modernize its versions of the dead. Vampires have never been as numerous as they were in the 18th century. As cases of vampires were seldom reported in France, tales of them came from Rusid, Silesia, Moravia, Slovakia, and Hungary. In Poland, vampires were called upertsi, in Greece, brukolakos, in Arabic gul, plural agul. The word uber, witch, was first used in the English language about 1743 AD. It was described as the head person, animated by evil spirits, coming from the graves during the shadow hour to suck the blood of the living. One idea of this creature of darkness evolved from the stories of the All Hallows, All Saints' Day and the Celtic Samhain festival. Many believe that a person buried without the proper burial rites would not stay permanently. The rate of premature burials was very high due to the lack of medical knowledge. Grave robbers often found buried bodies alive in grotesque conditions, as a result of their vain struggling to escape the grave robbers, who gossip tales of horrors of the living dead. The true vampire bat, which sucks the blood of warm-blooded mammals and birds, gave the vampire, such as Dracula, its ominous bat transformation and nocturnal behavior. The need for blood is a natural condition of the albino people with his many diseases. He needs blood to keep his race alive. Hemophilia is a form of vampirism. The hemophiliac is in constant need of blood. Albinos, those suffering from albinism, a disease which causes the lack of pigmentation in the cells, have to undergo a complete blood transfusion at birth. Since their blood does not contain the necessary factors for clotting or the salt necessary for reproduction, these blood transfusions must continue regularly throughout their lives. This is vampirism. Haven't you ever wondered why for the simplest blood tests your doctor needs 4 tubes of blood? Where is all this blood going? The albino man's blood bank is just a sophisticated way of getting all the blood he needs. It is still a form of vampirism. Vampirism is another form of demonism, which the evil one, himself, has introduced into all societies to win the souls of the people. Note, the name of the present-day leader of the Seventh-day Adventist, Jack Van Impe. Now notice the spelling of his last name, Van Impe equals vampire. The founder's name was Ellen G. White. The G stands for Gould, or is it Ghoul? There is a book out called the Urantia book, which is attracting lots of attention and is looked upon as the Bible. This book was put together by the Seventh-day Adventist. The name Urantia is taken from the name Urania, who is one of the 9 muses of Zeus. The daughter of Zeus and Mnemosyne. Urania also is spelled Urania, which has the same root as the Greek word for heaven, Uranus, and phonetically Uranus. Absence of pigmentation in the skin, white or light hair, red eyes because of reflected light passing through the red blood vessels in the eyes. Vampires actually exist and are walking the earth today. Insists a noted exorcist for the Church of England, Britain's major religious denomination. Believe me, vampires are real. I've encountered 3 of them, declared the Reverend Dr. Donald Omond of Devon, England. I am convinced that a tiny number of people in the world today are vampires. They must drink blood. The 3 I encountered were in mental hospitals. But I think that their problem went much deeper than mental illness. I believe they were possessed by the evil one. The legend of Dracula, the most famous vampire of them all, is rooted in reality, said Dr. Omond. Dr. Frida Surowitz, associate professor in the Department of Psychiatry at the University of Kentucky Medical College, agreed that modern vampires do exist. I have a colleague who saw a patient who was showing the symptoms of a vampire, she said. Psychiatrist Dr. Bertold Schwartz also told the Inquirer that vampires are a reality. I think it is a severe form of mental disturbances, he said. There is a group of people who are called Gothic. They prefer to wear black clothes and their skin is extremely pale. They only mix their genes with their own European race. However, in doing this, they will return to their barbaric-like state, which goes along with the meaning of Gothic. They become those bleached-out lepers from the time of Canaan, only mixing amongst themselves. Many from this group participates in a vampirish practice of feeding or drinking blood, literally, off of each other as vampires in movies, except these are willing partners. They pierce the tongue, the lips, the sexual organs, and they tattoo themselves. They are the returning to their barbarous ways. These are the sons of Canaan. They are the children of devils who have wreaked havoc throughout the earth. The Spaniards, Spanish, are the native inhabitants of Spain. They are the Europeans and are not to be confused with our original Latino brothers and sisters, who are Nubian, who inhabit Mexico, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Santo Domingo, Central America, Guatemala, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, South America, Guyana and Uruguay. The Europeans should also refer to you by your name, Nubians. Some Nubians, throughout time, have mixed their seed with the cursed sons of Canaan, and as a result they are now known as Koreans, Eskimos, Japanese, some Chinese, Indonesians, East Indians, Pakistanis, Malayans, Sicilians, Southern Italians. They are all Nubian. Although they have violated the commandments of the Most High, they are not the sons of Canaan, even though they mixed their blood with them. When the Amorite lived in the Caucasus Mountains, no plant life existed and salt was unavailable. This condition forced the Amorite males to leave the mountain and steal Nubian women, thereby enabling his degenerate seed to stay alive. Canaan women, on the other hand, were left in the mountains and resorted to lying and having sex with beasts, such as the jackal, the ancestor of today's dog. The phrase "a dog is a man's best friend" stems from this sinful act. The dog would lick the festered sores of the leper and cleanse them for him. His seed was kept alive due to the mating of the malevolent or disagreeable one and the characteristics of the beast. In addition, venereal diseases came about because of this act. The malevolent, evil ones have no respect for the laws and commandments of El-Yahuwah, El-Elo. Bestiality and fornication are a part of his nature. He has you, the Nubian, following in his footsteps and participating in these abominations. The Wolfman is not a mere myth, he is based on facts. The two cities, Sodom meaning covered, conspiracies, and Gomorrah meaning overhearing, were destroyed because of their wickedness. Also, the inhabitants practiced all sorts of unlawful sexual acts. This is the common explanation. Even though the two cities have been destroyed for centuries, they still thrive in the hearts of mankind today. By nature, the disagreeable one is in opposition to the will of El-Elo. They would rather resort to bestiality as a source of worship. Bestiality has well taken a part in the rituals of witchcraft, magic and sorcery. The rebirth of witchcraft, Satanism and the occult in recent years has focused much attention on the black arts. What is witchcraft? Where did it come from? Today many believers in the occult are coming out of the closet. You see events occurring but you refuse to believe them. There is an old saying that goes, "What you don't know can't hurt you." This couldn't be further from the truth. What you don't know can, does and will hurt you in your everyday life. Television, movies, the music industry and everywhere else, witchcraft is happening. You have been placed under a spell that renders you deaf, dumb and blind, unable to see the truth. However, El-Elo says, "You shall know the truth and truth shall make you free." John 8:32. The time is now for you to open up your eyes to the tricks of the evil one. Witchcraft is his way of life, yet he has you believing he's a good Christian and the great white savior. Come, let us delve into the subject of witchcraft and the occult. Let us just see how it really does affect you. Some of the magic and sorcery tools of the evil one are: 1. White magic, invoking spirits. 2. Gray magic, destroying something or someone a person loves. 3. Black magic, bringing about total destruction on some person or persons. 4. Red magic, invoking the evil one himself. 5. Imitative, sorcerer uses pictures or paintings, illustrating something they wish, invoking this magic to occur. 6. Contagious, to call a spell on an enemy by stealing a piece of clothing, a lock of hair or a bit of fingernail. And 7. Sympathetic, to bewitch or kill the sorcerer of a person and burn it or stick pins in it. Voodoo doll. One can be placed under a spell by the following things: 1. Signature, pentagram, copper jewelry or coins. Watch for those unknown pennies just laying around your house or right out your door, and cast them away. Cut hair or nails, dollar bills and knowledge of the exact date and time of your birth. Sorcery involves the major aspects of life, the source of things. The aspects of the so-called black arts. It is the search for supernatural power that can be used to manipulate the lives of others and reduce them to complete servitude. Men without faith in El-Elo have always lived in fear of the elements and were quick to associate anything they saw for the first time in nature with the supernatural. When man first noticed that there were 5 heavenly bodies that changed their stations from time to time, they immediately attached a superstitious significance to their motions. Sorcery was always associated with false claims. In order to influence the weak and seekers of power, certain men also arose, who claimed that they could foretell the events of the future by the movements of the planets and the stars. The ancient Babylonians earned a world of sorcerers in his court. The sun and moon and the 5 planets, Venus, Mars, Mercury, Saturn, and Jupiter, were used as the basis of such practices. Thus, the 5-pointed star was used, the 5 representing the 5 planets which were known at the time, as were many spells, incarnations and rituals based on that number. To this day, the 5-pointed star or ram's head is still used in magical ceremonies. Sorcery in all its manifestations is basically the worship of Satan, in the hopes of gaining supernatural powers. Their major tools are fear and intimidation, and the object is always destruction. Also the hexagram, the interlocking 6-pointed star symbol of the 6,000-year spell of Leviathan. All throughout history, the evil one Amorite has been using magic and sorcery as a means of seducing and gaining his desires. One such case was that of Merlin the magician, known widely as a magician and sorcerer in the fables of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. Merlin the magician was not a made-up character from the Amorite storybooks. He was actually Satan in the flesh, who appeared to Nimrod, the son of Cush, the grandson of Noah and Naamah. Nimrod was a mighty ruler, governing all his subjects with justice and restitution under Anu and Kalna, fortress of Anu, when Merlin inspired his diabolical suggestions of haughtiness and tyranny. He told Nimrod of the animalistic people residing in the Caucasus Mountains whereby he could rule the whole world. Nimrod, being seduced by Satan, the physical evil one, who was Merlin the magician, exceeded his limits and thought himself to be an equal to El-Elo. During the time of Muhammad, people 570 to 632 AD, who opposed him worked in the way of Satan. The evil one worship was their tool to hurt Muhammad. So-called Jews, Lubayd and his 2 daughters, Fatin and Ayaz, were enemies of Muhammad and were jealous of him. Since Fatin and Ayaz were sorceresses, they with the help of their father rooted Muhammad. Sorceresses are those who work incantations, spells to produce magical effects on people or objects that belong to the person. You may notice that their works are performed late at night. Fatin and Ayaz cast a spell on Muhammad by tying knots in a rope and blowing evil words on them. This caused Muhammad to become very sick. He remained under this spell until El-Elo revealed the Quranic chapters of Surat al-Falaq, chapter of the breaking forth of day, and Surah al-Nas, chapter of the people. It is said that powers like these are only active if you believe in them. Unfortunately, that's why the sorcery was able to work on Muhammad. Islam was still new to him and the art of sorcery was prominent back then. He was vulnerable because he sometimes doubted his prophethood and became weak at times. The rope used by the town sorceresses, Fatin and Ayaz, was hidden in a well, but El-Elo interceded in this evil deed and commanded the Elohim Gabriel, Nus, to let Muhammad know where the rope was hidden. The Prophet Muhammad then told Amir el-Mu'minin Ali, commander of the faithful, his son-in-law and cousin, where to find the rope. When Amir el-Mu'minin Ali brought the rope back, Muhammad began to recite the above chapters of Quran. As he recited each verse, a knot would untie itself until he had completed the recitation of the 11 verses. Another incident where Muhammad was affected by evil sorcery and wickedness involved Jamail. Jamail was the sister of Abu Sufyan, a prominent leader of the Quraysh tribe and an adversary of Muhammad. This evil woman was also the wife of Abu Uzza, better known as Abu Lahab, father of the flame. She used to place thorns in Muhammad's path and would throw the insides of animals and defiled things on him. Another person who affected Muhammad was Hind, who was the wife of Abu Sufyan. The people in the surrounding areas of Arabia, being of the pagan tribes, were firm believers in fortune-telling, reading of tarot cards, astrology and idol worship. With the advent of Muhammad and the proclamation, La ilaha illa El-Elo, nothing would exist if El-Elo didn't create it. Whose existence along with everything else came from El-Kulum. The All. La ilaha illallah El-Kulum. Nothing would exist except by way of the All. All forms of witchcraft, sorcery, magic, etc., were diligently opposed and eliminated. Astrology is identified as pseudoscience claiming to foretell the future by studying the supposed influence of the relative positions of the moon, sun and stars on human affairs. In Latin is astrologia, which is defined as astronomy. Webster's dictionary supports that there is no real science called astrology. This then is the root of the deception. Pseudo, sham, false, spurious, pretended, counterfeit, closely or deceptively similar to specified thing. Astronomy, the science of the stars, planets and heavenly bodies dealing with their composition, motion, size, and relative position, etc. Necromancy is the aid of revealing future events by means of alleged communications with the dead. The word necromancy comes from the conglomeration of the Greek words, nekros or necro death, corpse dead tissue, and the word mantio divination. Along with witchcraft, sorcery and magic, necromancy is an abomination unto El-Elo. Divination is associated with Nakash. Nakash, the Whispers, is also the name of the evil reptilian from the garden, who enticed and seduced Nekabah in the garden. He is also known as Can, is also referred to as the serpent of your Bible, Genesis 3:1. This same whispering serpent is one who speaks into the heart of man and leaves evil suggestions. Leviathan, the spell of sleep, is defined as a sea monster, serpent. The word divination comes from the Latin word divinatio, which means the faculty of foreseeing. It is the act of or practice of trying to foretell future events or the unknown, which is what occult means. It is also known as a prophecy, prediction, augury, or a successful guess, clever conjecture. Alchemy, from the Latin word alchemia, Greek archemia, it is defined as the doctrine, study and practice of chemistry concerned with transmutation of metals into gold and the finding of a universal remedy for disease. This art was practiced extensively from the 13th to the 17th century. Alchemy has been used in the occult and black arts as a power or process of transmuting one thing into another. Alchemy is called the secret art of the land of Chem, and it is one of the two oldest sciences known to the world. In fact, when the Anunnaki were in search of gold in the land of Chem or Kemet, they turned lead into gold because of its abundance. They were able to change the molecular structure because they understood the structure of cells and molecules. Many of these equations to these formula were left and discovered, and that is why you have fake golds today. Alchemy was divinely revealed to man so that by their aid he might regain his lost estate. Another mystery science is astronomy. The Chaldeans, Phoenicians, and the Babylonians were familiar with the principalities of alchemy, as were many early Oriental races. It was practiced in Greece and Rome, and it was the master science of Kemet. Chem was one of the ancient names for the land of Egypt. In both worlds, alchemy and chemistry are perpetual reminders of the propriety of Egypt's scientific knowledge. It is a well-known fact that all the knowledge of the sciences and mathematics came out of the great kingdoms of Egypt. Witchcraft, the old religion, is as old as mankind. The word witch is derived from the Anglo-Saxon word wit, which means wise. Witchcraft consists of the use of sorcery, spells and magic. The craft stems from ancient pagan religions that worship the elements of nature. Two deities are worshipped, a horned male and female deity. The female deity name varies from Aphrodite, Diana, Astarte, Bridget and Persephone, rules during the summer months of the year. She represents fertility. Diana is known by so many names as Diane, and the word also is for Dina, the only daughter of Jacob, father of the Israelites, who Mohammedans worship, Din al-Islam. Look at what you see all around you in the Islamic world, phallic symbols seen in the form of minarets, and domes representing breasts. Now do you see? It is nothing more than a fertility cult. The horned deity, who goes under the names Ger-Nunos and Pan, is the symbol of the hunt. On Halloween, the rulership goes from the deitess to the deity. The horned deity is worshipped during the long winter months. He is usually represented as a ram, bull or goat. The horned deity is symbolic of the evil one. Samael. Witchcraft, demology and Satanism are all abominations unto El Elo. Pan was the ancient Greek deity of huntsmen, shepherds and later all nature. Wood, field and flocks belonged to him. The Greek believed that he stayed on earth, roaming through the mountains and valleys, playing gaily on his flute made of reed. Pan was considered the cause of sudden, unreasoning terror that occurs sometimes in man and beast. This terror of panic was named after him. Also to pan, to look on and sound equalment, it means from left to right or right to left. The pan as the sun appears to rise and set for the full daylight or Christian sunrise and set. Set an Egyptian name for the evil one. During the medieval times, magic and witchcraft were practiced freely until 14 AD, when Emperor Augustus Caesar placed a ban on the craft. The use of magic to blight a crop, raise a storm, or predict the death of an emperor, was a serious crime. However, so-called harmless magic, which involved healing the sick or preparing love potions, was still accepted. In the 7th century, the Archbishop of Canterbury, England, set punishments on those who worshipped the horned deity, even though Christianity was still spreading and the old religion still survived. In the 10th century AD, King Edgar of England admitted that it was still more popular than Christianity. It was at this point the believers in the horned deity were called witches. Revelation 8:1, and when Tammuz the Lamb opened the 7th stamp, there was silence in the Orion skies for a half an hour. This mentions the year 1970 AD, in which the 7th seal was opened and all truth was made manifest. It marked the coming of the Reformer and his community, Hami El Khan, Universal Assembly. The half an hour represents symbolically the last 30 years to the year 2000 AD, which were given to the Lamb of the Most High, Anu, the Heavenly One, to slay the beast, Leviathan, and smother all his venomous lies that have been fed to the people. There has been an extension to the year 2030. It is no coincidence that the evil one would have a public witch in the year 1970 AD. He is no longer hiding the truth about himself, for all the truth has been made manifest. Witchcraft is his religion and he's letting you know about it.